The first time I felt her hands undoing the ribbons on my Cameo Choker, I almost jumped completely out of my skin. They were small and delicate-fingered, but cold, icy cold, on the back of my neck. The touch drew goosebumps up and down my arms and raised the small hairs on my nape. The invisible fingers belonged to a dead girl, still existing, but far out of her own time. Whether you believe that ghosts are real or not, the cameo itself is a fake. It's a cheap replica, the creamy features of an elegant woman pressed in hard resin rather than carved with care out of shell or stone. If it were real, it would have taken hours of delicate handiwork. Instead, it was manufactured more likely than not by a machine. Still, she seems to like it as much as I do myself. She's stolen it several times since that first night. The first time we were performing a paranormal investigation on the 3rd floor of the old Lorraine Inn in Pictou. It is a beautiful stone building, which was built by Scottish mason John Lorraine in 1825. The hauntings at the old Lorraine are many and varied, and so it was a natural stop on our weekly tour. We'd been invited in many times to search for evidence of activity, and the house was never disappointing and always seemed to welcome us. On that particular night, we were standing in one of the small bedrooms. No one was near me, and when I felt a cold draft lift the first piece of ribbon off my back, then the second. Slowly and deliberately, the way a deft-fingered thief would pickpocket a mark, the knot and bow were untied, and the Cameo Choker slipped down my chest to land in my upturned hands. Everyone saw it happen. The EMF meter we were using to measure fluctuations in the room spiked into the red, alerting us of activity. She would go on to make this performance happen on a regular basis. Over the following weeks, we would return to the old Lorraine many times, and I would inevitably find the choker loosened or completely untied. It was the only location that this happened in. No matter how I tried to secure it, she would always find a way to undo it. It became her favorite game, and mine. I would feel the cold draft on my back and think, oh, here we go. Eventually, I created her own necklace for her and left it at the residence to see if it would please or at least appease her. I used a jet black pendant I had in my crafting stash instead of a cameo, but like my own, I hand-crocheted the choker and threaded it with glass beads and satin ribbon. She still seemed to like mine more. In 2019, we were heartbroken when the pandemic, coupled with injuries, put an end not only to our investigations, but also our fledgling walking tour company, Pictou Ghost Walks. This year we reopened the business, and I remembered how much joy telling these stories gives me. Our first official tour was a desperately hot Thursday evening during an unusual heat wave. I was roasting in the black wool hat, the choker, and the rest of the Victorian garb I'd dragged out of storage for our return. By the time we reached Church Street, I was a mess of frizzy, humidity-ravaged hair and sweat. Even the coming of the evening had done little to break the relentless heat. I positioned my group opposite the old Lorraine and began to regale them with stories of the spirits encountered there. As I related the story of the ghost who liked to steal ladies' jewelry, I felt a familiar icy tickle at the back of my neck, the imprint of cold fingers, unmistakable in the heat. Then the cameo slid down my chest into my hand. It was a playful gesture, as though she'd missed the game. I could almost hear a mischievous giggle. It seems, after many years absent, we were welcomed home by an old friend.